From the moment you were born, you were trained to obey a clock, not a natural rhythm, not your breath, a machine, seconds, minutes, hours, days, ticking forward in a straight, relentless line, always pushing, always chasing, always slipping away. But what if time isn't linear at all? What if everything you've been told about it, the past behind you, the future ahead, the now as a sliver in between, is a story created not to explain reality, but to control it? The ancients didn't live by clocks. They lived by cycles, moon phases, star patterns, tides, heartbeats, seasons. Time was not something to chase. It was something to align with. They believed time wasn't a force moving forward. It was a field, one you could move through, bend, even escape. To them, the past wasn't dead, the future wasn't empty, and the present wasn't fragile. They believed that all moments, all timelines, exist simultaneously, layered like pages in a closed book. And you're not stuck in one page. You're just trained not to turn them. Because if you ever learned how time really worked, you'd stop fearing age. You'd stop chasing success. You'd stop living like you're running out. And start remembering that time isn't a river dragging you forward. It's a mirror, reflecting wherever you choose to look. In Kemet, time wasn't something you managed. It was something you merged with. They had no word for the future in the linear sense, because they didn't see time as a straight road. They saw it as a spiral, a living current that flows in patterns, not lines. To them, time was Ka and Ba, spiritual layers of energy, memory, and movement. Ka held the eternal essence, the undying energy behind all life. Ba was the individual soul, a traveler weaving through cycles of form and formlessness. They believed that every moment, every event, wasn't isolated. It echoed, it returned. It brought messages from other versions of you, past, future, parallel, not metaphorically, energetically. And this wasn't just Egyptian wisdom. In Hindu cosmology, time is Kala, both creator and destroyer. The same force that gives birth to galaxies is the one that ends civilizations. It's not linear. It's cyclical. Yugas rise and fall. The world breathes in ages, not hours. The Mayans built entire cities aligned to time frequencies, tracking not just days and years, but spiritual pulses through long counts and cosmic rhythms. They didn't ask, what time is it? They asked, what energy is present now? They lived in alignment because they knew when you move with time's true rhythm, you collapse resistance. You don't push against life, you ride it. And this is the wisdom modern systems had to bury, because a society that obeys natural time can't be programmed by artificial time. They needed you in 24/7 cycles. They needed you to wake on alarms, ignore your fatigue, suppress your intuition. They needed you obedient to clocks, not consciousness. Because when you follow cosmic time, you awaken a frequency that doesn't bow to calendars. You become unpredictable, unstoppable, sovereign, and that is the one thing systems of control can't calculate. They didn't enslave your body, they enslaved your perception of time. Think about it. Every structure you were born into, school, work, religion, government, runs on time like a machine. But it's not nature's time, it's artificial. Clocks don't track consciousness, they enforce compliance. The 9-to-5 workday, it was never about efficiency. It was engineered to flatten your rhythms, to separate you from your intuition, your fatigue, your inner flow, to make you doubt your own body. Every deadline is a psychological weapon, a synthetic urgency injected into your nervous system. You weren't late, you were mismatched with a mechanical system designed to reward speed, not depth. Every year, you age by number. You fear the ticking. You chase milestones. You call it progress, but it feels like panic. And why? Because someone told you time is running out, not life. Time. They made time into a currency, a scoreboard, a punishment, but never a portal. Because the second you realize that time isn't fixed, that it bends based on your awareness, you break their entire system. This is why mystics could stretch seconds into visions, and why a lucid dream can feel like hours. Why grief stretches time and joy collapses it. Because time isn't neutral. Time responds to consciousness. So if you stay locked in the default setting, rushing, reacting, aging on schedule, you stay controllable. But if you start noticing the gaps, the stretches, the loops, the intuitive nudges to slow down, you're not wasting time. You're leaving the matrix of it. Subscribe and turn on the bell. If this is the kind of truth you've been waiting to remember, you're not here by accident. This message reached you because something in you is ready to reclaim your time. If you've ever been in a near-death experience, a psychedelic journey, a deep meditative state, or even a vivid dream, you've felt it. Time is not fixed. It expands, contracts, loops, distorts, all based on awareness, not the clock. Mainstream science barely touches it, but quantum physics has already cracked the surface. In the quantum realm, time doesn't move one way. Particles can choose paths that affect their past. An observer's attention can collapse probability into experience. In other words, what you perceive shapes what becomes real, and that includes when it becomes real. Your brain isn't just a memory machine, it's a time interpreter. That's why emotions alter your sense of time. Boredom slows it, joy accelerates it, fear freezes it, grief distorts it. But there's more. Time also behaves differently in dreams. You can live entire lifetimes in a 10-minute REM cycle because when the conscious mind sleeps, the timeless self speaks. The mystics knew this. Lucid dreamers, astral travelers, energy workers, they all reported the same thing. Time is a choice. Not consciously, like a button you press, but subconsciously, based on what level of reality you're tuned into. And here's the secret. Reality isn't happening to you, it's unfolding from you, like a bloom opening from the center. So when you shift your awareness, when you detach from the artificial grid and move inward, you start noticing subtle changes. You begin predicting events before they happen. You start catching déjà vu, not as glitch, but as echo. You witness synchronicities pile up, numbers, symbols, encounters. These are time anomalies, not errors, invitations. Your soul trying to show you. You've never been trapped in linearity. You were trained to think that way. You can collapse timelines. You can visit memory like a place. You can receive insight from a future you haven't met yet, because in truth, she's already speaking. Time is not your enemy, it's your language. And when you learn to listen, you start shaping the story, not being shaped by it. You've been told that time is outside of you, something to chase, to measure, to fear. But what if time isn't just external? What if time is generated from within you? Indigenous shamans, Hermetic alchemists, Eastern mystics, they all said the same thing in different tongues. Time bends around intention. Time flows where awareness concentrates. Time reveals what you're ready to receive. Let's break this open. When you wake up in the morning and feel off, what's actually happening? Your inner rhythm, your natural time, is out of sync with your schedule. That meeting at 9 a.m., your soul doesn't care. It's on soul time, not society's clock. And if you ignore that rhythm long enough, you get burned out. You forget what peace feels like. You lose your creativity, your joy, your sense of direction. That's not just emotional, it's temporal dissonance. Your inner compass is pointing to a timeline you're not on. But here's where things get mystical. When you honor your natural rhythm, when you slow down during inward seasons, when you stop forcing productivity in moments of inner pause, you start feeling time differently. You start experiencing windows of acceleration, creative downloads that feel like they came from another dimension, time freezing during meditation, flow states that compress hours into minutes. And those moments, they're not rare. They're you touching your true frequency. This is how the great sages lived. They didn't master time through schedules. They mastered it by syncing with the now behind the now. Because behind the ticking seconds is another layer, a spiritual current that holds memory, prophecy, synchronicity, and guidance. You don't access it with effort. You access it with alignment. Every time you act from your deepest intuition, you shift timelines. Every time you speak truth that's hard to say, you collapse karmic loops. Every time you choose rest over hustle, presence over panic, reflection over reaction, you become the creator of your own chronology. You start living out of time, not late, not lost, but free. So next time you say, I don't have time, ask yourself, whose timeline am I even living on? Because the true you, the timeless you, is already waiting. They told you the future is unknown, but that's not entirely true. The future isn't waiting somewhere ahead of you. It's already alive, just out of frequency. Every decision you make doesn't just create outcomes, it creates branches, parallel versions of reality where another version of you took another path. And those versions, they're not fantasy. They're active, vibrating, and sometimes, in dreams, in déjà vu, in sudden gut feelings, they touch you. That's not imagination. That's a bleed-through. See, time isn't linear. It's fractal. Each moment is not a dot on a line. It's a crossroad where every potential exists and collapses into reality based on your state of consciousness. When you hold a thought long enough, charged with emotion, you magnetize a specific timeline. When you take aligned action from a place of inner truth, you step into it. This is how reality shifts, not by force, by resonance. That's why ancient initiates focused more on inner alignment than outer control, because when your frequency matches a timeline, you don't have to make it happen. You meet it. Your future self already exists. The version of you who's healed, clear, awakened, sovereign. She's not fiction. She's a signal. And when you listen inwardly, you begin hearing her voice. Here's how it works. When you meditate and drop into the still field behind your thoughts, you're tuning the signal. When you journal your desires without doubt, you're scripting the frequency. When you rest, cry, feel, breathe, you're dissolving the static. And the more you do that, the more the timelines start to bend toward you. That's why synchronicities multiply. You're not getting lucky, you're getting in tune. So what does this mean? It means the future isn't found, it's felt. And remembering it isn't about intellect, it's about intimacy with your own soul. Because somewhere beyond your fear, your future self is already whispering, keep going, you've done this before. And when you trust that voice, you collapse time. You turn years into moments, karma into clarity, longing into memory. And suddenly, you realize you're not chasing your future, you're just returning to it. Everything changes when enough people wake up from the illusion of time, because time isn't just personal, it's the code running collective consciousness. Why do you think our world runs on constant urgency? Why is every system built to make you feel late, behind, or almost out of time? Because urgency creates fear, fear creates obedience, and obedience keeps the illusion intact. But what happens when you pause? When you unplug from artificial deadlines? When you stop measuring your worth by your output? When you feel into the sacred rhythm of your own becoming? You don't just heal yourself, you interrupt the signal. The matrix of mechanical time begins to flicker because it depends on your participation. This is why rest is revolutionary. Why saying no to overcommitment is spiritual warfare. Why your body's desire to slow down is not laziness. It's a correction. It's your inner system remembering the real clock. Not the one on your wrist, the one in your womb, your gut, your dreams, your intuition. And when you reclaim that rhythm, you begin to see the lies unravel. Aging isn't decline, it's activation. Success isn't linear, it's energetic. Wisdom isn't stored in years, it's stored in presence. This is the threat. A fully present human is untouchable because they don't chase time, they wield it. They create space in their day where magic enters. They leave cracks in their schedule so soul can speak. They understand that one aligned moment can shift more than 10 years of striving. So the more of us who reclaim our time, not just on clocks, but in consciousness, the faster the old structure falls apart, because it cannot survive a population who no longer believes in its ticking God. This is the real revolution, and it doesn't come through shouting or fighting. It comes through frequency correction, a new way of relating to life, time, self, and the unseen. So pause, breathe, let go of the clock, and you'll feel it. The pulse beneath the schedule, the rhythm behind the world. That's her. That's real time. Stop and think for a moment. How much of your life have you spent rushing toward a finish line that never arrives? Running from youth to success, from success to survival, from survival to exhaustion. Then wondering where it all went. That's not life, that's time addiction. But here's the secret they never wanted you to know. time doesn't move. You do. And every step you take in alignment shifts not only your future, but the future of the world itself. You weren't born to manage hours. You were born to bend moments, to slip between dimensions, to touch memory as if it's now, to pull healing from the future and apply it to your past. This is not fantasy. This is the true power of an awakened human. Someone who knows that time is not a sentence. It's a spell, and you can break it. And when you do, you start to remember things you were never taught, like how ancient you are, how many timelines you've touched, how many versions of you are waiting for reintegration, because you are not one person. You are a constellation of moments, a spiral of selves, a soul dressed in time for a short play, but never truly bound by it. So what now? Start small. Watch how time bends when you're present. Notice how much you accomplish when you stop forcing. Feel how truth arrives when you stop rushing. And remember, you don't need more time. You need more alignment. You don't need a plan. You need a frequency. And the more you tune into it, the less you age by the world's clock, and the more you grow into your cosmic memory. Because time is not a threat, it's a teacher. And when you listen, it shows you not just how to live, but how to unfold. So I leave you with this. What version of you do you feel calling you from the future? And what are you still afraid to become? Drop it in the comments. Don't just think about it. Anchor the frequency. This isn't about going viral. It's about going timeless. Welcome to the real time.